it is to create a security startup. And I have goodies, I have a lot of goodies. There's never been a time in the world, ever, never been a better time to start a security startup. So to start a security startup today is the absolute perfect time, better than any other time in history. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, let's talk about the security problems that are out there. And this is, I had a really great lead up with the Internet of Things discussion and then the big data discussion that pretty much highlighted all these issues. So what are we checking exactly? Where are the security problems? Our target market is anything with an IP address. So I heard the estimate of 9 billion devices right now and growing probably exponentially. There's a nice graph here that shows how many new IP addresses. So this is an IP address is a device connected to the network. How many new devices are there? And you can see it over the years. So there's more and more and more and more devices coming up. Every device for people like me is a customer, is a target. It's something that needs to be secure. It's a problem that needs to be solved. It's somebody's headache that we need to fix. So Internet of Things is going to be a huge driver for security. So if you think the security companies are making money now, imagine the time when you will have 100 devices in your house, not just today the laptop and maybe your cell phone. You'll have about 100 of these. Imagine how much opportunity there is for startups to secure those. And there's a personal device issue. And when I say personal device, I don't necessarily mean a watch. I mean something like this. How personal will it be for you when your refrigerator is connected to the internet to order eggs when the eggs are finished, and then a hacker goes in and ruins all your eggs? I know if I wake up in the morning and I can't make an omelet, that's it. I take it very personally. No virus in my computer would be worse than somebody coming in and ruining everything in my refrigerator. When your refrigerator has an IP address connected to the internet, and when hackers can come in and hack your refrigerator, you will take that personally, which means there's a security problem here that can turn out into an opportunity. So there's a lot of problems now, and there's going to be a lot more. And that's good for us security people who want to have opportunities. Now there's another side. How easy is it to start a startup? Never been easier. You have tools like Amazon AWS and tools like GoToMeeting. Why is AWS so amazing? This is how much it costs to run a server. Now, there's two amazing things about this. When I started my first company in the early 90s, putting a server up was a big decision. We had to get all the management together, figure out which server we're going to buy, and then where are we going to put it, and then allocate the budget for that server, and then buy it, and then ship it. And now you go to Amazon and you pay 20 cents, and you get 1 hour of computing. When you pay $14, and you get 1 month of a server. $14, that's about 5 cups of coffee, right? So it's amazing how cheap it is to start a computing business. And the second thing that's amazing is how you can grow. You can use cloud computing to grow, and that means as you have more customers, as you get more money, you spend on computing power. So you can start with 20 cents an hour, and when you're Facebook, you'll be down there paying the hundreds and the thousands and millions of dollars, but you only do that after you have customers. So scaling is very easy. So it's easy to start, it's easy to scale. Tools like GoToMeeting make starting a startup easy and fun. Because you don't necessarily have to be in that market It's you can close deals all over the world with any type of customer, no matter where they are, no matter what country and how big. You can do a demonstration over the web. You can have a phone conference, so you can talk to them and show to them and close the deal over email, webinars, and all these things without leaving your office. So you can do this right here from Seoul. You can sit in Seoul and be the next Cisco, and there's no actual limitation to that. That's all up to you. It doesn't cost you a lot of money to start. You don't have to physically be on the plane or fly to places or meet customers. This makes building startups and scaling them incredibly easy. This wasn't the case. I think I heard this morning a reminder from the minister. Cell phones is a recent thing. Cell phones weren't here 20 years ago. That's new. All these things are very new. It was hard to start a company, a startup 20 years ago. Today it's so easy. You can not only do it from your bedroom, you can build a multinational company without leaving your house. So that was the good news. Now let's talk a little bit about the bad news, the difficulties specific to starting security companies. So this is a slide that every founder starting a security company does not want to hear. It's when we do, especially people like me who like security, we're very passionate about our technology. So, there's a famous thing that Picasso once did. He said, for a certain customer, I don't want him to buy my paintings. Why? Well, because he doesn't understand art. I'm not going to give my paintings to someone who doesn't understand them just because he's buying them. A lot of security startup founders are a little bit like that. We want our customers to appreciate how we are actually solving the problem and how much we like security. We want them to like security and to understand that. But again, here's the bad news. Here's the truth about actually solving the problem. Real problems affect everybody, but only the early adopters care. There is, it's almost universally true. We have a security issue. Everybody understands that there's a security issue, and yet customers are not solving the problem. Why? Because of what we think are stupid reasons. Because they claim they don't have a budget. They don't understand why. Because the other company hasn't bought it. Because maybe the guy is interested more about his job than about securing the business. And then we say there's stupid regulation in place, and then there's ignorance, and there's a lot of reasons why. And that's especially true in the security world. And part of the reason is Joshua can come up and explain about big data and show with dollar signs why something makes sense. We cannot do that with security. We usually cannot explain with security why that cool technology is important and has to be bought. We sense it, we understand it, it looks obvious, but not to our customers. So that means that we are usually dependent on the early adopters. They get it, they're smart, they'll buy technology before everybody else. But what we have to understand is there are a small fraction of the market. Here's a really famous graph that I would mandate to tattoo on the chest of every entrepreneur that starts an ICT startup because it's crucial. This is a really important graph. It starts with on the left with the innovators, and it shows the number of customers based on their specific type and stage. So we have a really small amount of innovators. Innovators will buy the product because it's cool, because it's new. People who buy Google Glass just because it came out, they are the innovators. They will buy before they even know what it does. So in the security market, there's a lot of innovators. They think, hey, that's good technology. We'll buy it. The fact that 100 companies bought our product doesn't yet mean anything about what we're doing and if we're in the right direction. Because you see that little gap. After the innovators, there's a small gap. We have to jump from the innovators to the next stage. Next stage is the early adopters. Early adopters buy our technology because it's good. They understand it. They want to buy it. They understand why it's useful for them. And they will buy it because of the actual advantages of the technology. So think about people you know, the guy that gets the gadget before everybody else, right? There's a new version of the tablet. They're the first ones to get the iPad. Those are innovators. And then the second ones, or the next batch, the guys that maybe compare, review, and then buy, those are the early adopters. And then there's a huge, it's called the big scary chasm. There's a huge gap. Really, really scary and really, really difficult to jump over. And this gap is the companies that say, who else bought your product? Who else in our industry is using it? And for us security people, that's a really, really frustrating question, because we ask, why do you care? I have a good product. You should buy it. I explained it to you. You liked it. We agree the cost is okay. Why don't you buy it? Well, because the majority of the people, and that's the two big ones in the middle, they will buy it after it's been proven, after other companies have bought it. So you have to jump that first one, and that first one is dangerous, because the first one is after innovators buy your product, and you think, wow, I'm making so much money. No, not yet. You just sold to innovators. And then maybe you jump over that and sold to some real companies. Those are the early adopters, but you make the jump to the majority. If you did, you're good. You're going to sell to, there's a good majority, there's a late majority. That means there's a lot of market to be covered, and then there's the last ones that buy after everybody else. So this is the bad news about making that jump, and it's again especially bad news for security people, because we don't always understand why that gap exists. We think logically, if I solve the problem and I just describe how big the problem is, why won't people buy it? Well, they won't buy it for a lot of reasons. So let's talk a little bit about what a CEO should do. So you decided to start a security startup, and you're ready to cross that chasm. So in a security startup, more than others, the CEO has a lot of different roles. The CEO has to be the technical leader. CEOs in security companies have to understand technically what is happening and why. Security companies are measured by how good the product is in a startup world. When you're Cisco, you can do a lot of things and put the Cisco brand on it, and people will buy it. Before you're a Cisco, you have to be really, really good, exceptionally effective. That first part is actually not difficult. You have to also be the marketing and the sales leader. That is hard. You have to be, because you have to understand, why is the customer buying the product from me? I'll give you a hint. It's not because of the features. It's something else. Find out why. Is there a relation that forces them to buy? Is there a hidden agenda? Is there a reason? Does it help it with something else? Find out. You have to know, and for that you have to understand the marketing and the sales of your company, and only the CEO can do that. One of my first mistakes in the company was I actually, as we were starting out, we fell into the first gap. We sold to innovators and then we fell. We stopped. I hired a marketing consultant. Not as good as McKinsey, but good nevertheless. And he did a full evaluation of the company, and he had one conclusion. The CEO said, it's me, has to get out of the sales process and never talk to salespeople again. extreme. Why is that? He said, because you don't understand what customers want, and you tell your salespeople the wrong things on what to sell. Your salespeople know what customers want. They know what to tell customers. And then you tell them something else. And you tell them, oh no, don't call it a table, call it a chair. But the customer wants a table. Sales guy understands that. So, being the stubborn CEO that I was, I fired him first. And then I thought about it, and now I'm telling this story. But it means that the CEO has to understand it. If he does not, he can really screw up the company, as I almost did. And the key is to understand the customer. And understanding the customer, as I said, has a lot of different faces to that. And it's usually,
우리나라의 특별한 제도가 대해서 잠깐 말씀하신 것 같은데, 그다음에 이제 미국 시장에서 M&A가 하셨고 오래 경험하셨기 때문에 첫 번째 질문은 아까 말씀하신 했지만 우리나라 기업이 해외로 진출을 하기 위한 어떤 특별한 고려사항이 있는지 그게 첫 번째 질문이고요. 두 번째로 질문은 이제 벤처 창업을 하기 위해서 정부나 아니면 제도적으로 지원해 줄 수 있는 것들이 있는지. 그러니까 이거는 제가 말씀드리면 우리나라 상황과 미국 상황과 비교했을 때 미국은 어떤데 우리나라 이런 문제에 대해서 어떻게 개선이 됐으면 좋겠다는 것들이 있으면 좀 답변을 좀 부탁드립니다. 김 기자한테. 질문이 제대로 전달됐는지 모르겠습니다. 첫 번째 질문은 해외 진출의 고려사항, 두 번째는 이제 국내에서 우리나라 국내에서 벤처 창업하기 위한 어떤 정부의 지원책이라든가 아니면 제도 개편, 개선 그런 질문입니다.
네.
Thank you for the questions. There are actually two very interesting questions. I'll first touch on something you quickly said at the beginning. So you said about startups starting in Korea, and you sort of asked, is it good for the startup to start in Korea and then go global? And then you also sort of mentioned, is it good for Korea that starts because of the weak infrastructure? So should we ask Korean startups to force through military duty here in Korea and then straight and then go global? So I don't want to sound like a bad citizen or a bad get. Well, I'm kind of a guest here, but the answer is no, in my opinion. I think it's not good for the startup to start in Korea. I mean, it's not good for Korea that the startup will start in Korea. Let me explain why. Starting in Korea for a security startup is a honey trap. Yeah, in fact, you all know the statistics about Israel. Israel is number 2 in the world in IPOs, in Nasdaq IPOs. We all hear about Israeli companies succeeding. And not many people realize Israel is 16 hours of flight away from California. There's no direct flight. So it's very, very far. It's 10 time zones away. So it's a lot farther than Korea to California. And then how do we get there so quickly? Because we have no choice. We have no domestic market. We have no local market to sell to. So we have to sell to global markets. So we sell to Europe and the US. Korean startups have this trap where they say, let's first start with the local market. And it's a honey trap because it's a rich market, it's a big market, there's a lot of need. It's very bad for the startup because the Korean market does not help you go global. Let's start with that. It does not help you. It's a different regulation, different need, different customers. A reference here in Korea will not help you abroad. And Korean customers, as we know, the Korean selling is very, very demanding and needs a lot of attention. And you're trapped. So now you're servicing your customers here. Aviram is spending millions of dollars trying to expand to the US unsuccessfully. And they are a very successful company. So it's not because they don't know how to do it. They have the resources and money. Hyundai is mentioned with a success. I want to remind everybody how much time and money they spend. They spend billions of dollars trying to get into the US market. So I don't think anybody can afford to do the effort Hyundai did to go into the US market. You cannot, it's impossible. You cannot start here and go global, you have to.
And it's not good for the country either, in my opinion, because a lot of the issues Korea has is because it's non-standard. It's because the development of we all know the ActiveX issue and USB plugging in. And these things actually weaken security. And also, it means you cannot be serviced by good technology overseas. So you are essentially protecting the local companies. But when North Korea comes to attack you, they play by different rules. They find those weaknesses. And you cannot use the standard firewall to defend against yourself. It's not good for the country. When Internet of Things will become standard here, if it's not obeying the global standards, then IBM cannot give you the protection you need because you'll have to have a specific protection here in Korea. It's not good. In security, doing the standard thing is a good thing. It's more secure. So I think for the country, for the startup, I would encourage them to start globally only. After you win the US, coming back to Korea is easy. Specifically about the consideration for global, I think I mentioned some of them. It's actually, I think nowadays, and maybe it's because I'm coming from Israel, it's simple. It seems obvious. I don't understand why anybody would not start a global startup nowadays. It's just, unless you're selling something physical like a girl dress or pieces of paper. If you're doing something virtual, the global is the way to go. It's easy, it's simple, it's fast, it's rewarding. The reward is, so you're working hard. Why settle in a market? You are going after a market of 100 million people. Why? Go after a market of 6 billion people. It's the same work, just a bigger market. So I think absolutely it's a no-brainer, as they say, to go global, and it's easy. And I want to talk a little bit about government support, because there's a lot of, I think the government is sponsoring this, and there's a lot of government people. So I think there's, first of all, my personal view, I'm against government in general. I think it's a lot of security people are like that. We think a lot like hackers, so we don't like structure. We don't like people tell us what to do. We don't like rules. So instinctively, I don't like the government. I like free market to the extreme. So in general, and in the US is like that. There's no government support for security startups at all. In fact, the government will sometimes do the opposite. If you sell to the CIA, they might say you're not allowed to sell to Korea, or you have to give us your approval. So we sell to China, and we sell to the US, and we sell to Korea. And we don't want one of those governments to say, wait a minute, we don't want you to sell to the other guys because they're our future enemies. So there are global rules. We are not going to sell to North Korea, we're not going to sell to Iran. But we do want the flexibility that if there's a cyber war between China and the US, that we can sell to both. If we get government support, then we'll opt. With that said, so this is my personal opinion, and it's probably more extreme than the average. With that said, I am seeing a lot of things. The reason I'm here is because the Korean government decided to support startups. So I have to admit that there is good coming from the government. So if the government can find a smart way to help startups without control, without limitation, and give them a push, again, globally. So that's going to be the hardest part for the government, is to say, you go to the US, give them the solution first, because that's going to be better for us in the long run. That's really hard for them to do that.
Right. Thanks. 오늘